So here's my implementation of the HTML image element object. We have this constructor that receives a source parameter. Here we set the source property, and we also define the render method. Note that here, to return this HTML markup, I'm using a template string. So instead of a single or double quote, I'm using the backtick character, which is the character before number 1 on your keyboard. So this is part of ES6, and it allows us to pass arguments to this string. So here, note that I have this argument indicated by a $sign and curly braces. So what we have inside of these curly braces, in this case, this.source, will be dynamically placed into this string at runtime. This is much cleaner than code like this. Return image source, then we concatenate this with this.source, then concatenate again. Now here I have to remember that I used single quote, so I add double quote to terminate this source attribute, and then add a slash and angle brackets. Look, this is really ugly. So use template strings in ES6, that's much cleaner. And to pass arguments, use a $sign and curly braces. Then whatever you put here will be placed into the string at runtime. Now, there is a more advanced version of a template string I'm going to show you in a second. So let's go to our HTML select element object. This is the other render method. So here we're returning a template string. Inside of this template string, we have the select element, but we want to render multiple option elements. See how we can achieve this, how we can add a loop inside of a template string. So note that here I have an argument, right? Here I'm referencing this.items, which is our array of items. I'm using the map method in ES6, so we can get each item in this array and map or convert it to something else. So here this map method takes an arrow function, which is again another new feature in ES6. So in case you're not familiar with arrow functions, this is how they work. Let's imagine I have a function that takes an item and returns a template string like this. So I get the item and convert it to a string with option and /option. And in the middle, I'm going to add an argument where I render the item, right? Oops, I forgot to name this function. Let's use a function expression. So I'm going to define a constant called render item and set it to this function expression, right? Now we can rewrite this function in a shorter and cleaner way using an arrow function. So we get rid of the function keyword. We add the parameters here, and to separate them from the body of the function, we use a fat arrow. Now, if we have only a single parameter, we can also remove the parentheses. And if we have a single return statement here, we can make this code even shorter. We can get rid of the return keyword as well as the curly braces. So put everything in one line. This is what we call an arrow function. We take an item and map it to a string like this. Now, I have used this inside of my template string here. So here after the select element, I have an argument in the template string. Inside this argument, I have this expression, this.items.map. So I'm calling the map method on the array. And as an argument, I'm passing an arrow function. Item goes to this template string. So we can have a template string inside of another template string. Now in this template string, we have option, item, and option. This is exactly what we have here. Now, this is the end of the map method. Map basically returns an array. So we get an array of items and map them to another array. That's an array of strings, options, right? Now, we want to combine all the elements in this array using an empty string. If we don't use the join method here, when this array is converted to a string, we will end up getting a comma after each option. So to solve that problem, we combine all the elements in the array using an empty string. Okay? So That's a more advanced usage of the template strings in ES6. I hope you enjoyed this lecture and thank you for watching.